Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a good time. I want to start with talking about what I think is a weird, at the same time, is an interesting word. I want to talk about dreams. We all dream. We all dream all the time. We dream every moment in our life. Some of these dreams we dream when we are sleeping. Some of the dreams we dream that don't let us sleep, right? You agree? Some of the dreams really don't let us sleep. Some of us have weird dreams all the time. So how many of us have weird dreams all the time, especially before a big event? Like your computer crashes all the time, you forgot to wear your pants. We're not, right? So weird dreams all the time. So I had this dream, just like this superhero had the dream on 28th August 1963. Am I right? So 28th August 2014, around 6-7 months back, I had a weird dream too. I see people using mobile phones all the time. I see people using smartphones all the time. Right inside this room, I see people managing a laptop, an iPad, and a smartphone. And I see applications there. I had this dream to have an application on my own, have it on my phone, and to enjoy that freedom of creation. I wanted to enjoy the freedom of learning something new, the freedom that is both flexible and is not overwhelming to me. Hi, my name is Kupu, as in Kilo Umbrella, Peter Umbrella. That's a lot of middle names. Then I belong to Zoho Creator, and I have been working with Zoho Creator for the past 6 months. So I wanted to realize this dream of building an app without actually being inhibited. So we saw in the keynote that how we work at Zoho, we treat it like a playground. We just do hands-on and we go about our work. So why inhibited, you're asking? Well, I'm basically a non-programmer. I have a postgrad in industrial microbiology, so I'm more familiar with what kind of microorganism goes into the winemaking than app building. So in the past 6 months, I have been playing around in this ground, and I realized that Zoho Creator is that one place that allows the freedom and the flexibility. At the same time, it's not so overwhelming. So in the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through building a very simple application, yet not a very simplistic one. So it's a very simple application that I'm going to build. So we are moving from dreams to plan, right? We all now have a business logic in hand. We heard Haider taking us through a brilliant journey of how you come about a requirement for your business application. So you've moved from your dreams to having a plan. Now, in this session, we're actually going to get hands-on, get our hands dirty, and build something. So as we build something, should we wait to make that perfect plan? No. We get started, and we go about refining it later. So I'm going to focus on building a very basic application, and I will let the advanced sessions in the future, today and tomorrow, build the more robust app. Okay. So there's only one secret to get ahead. That is, to get started already, right? So welcome to that wonderful store that offers you the world's best wine. Welcome to the Zilko Wine Store. And just like most of us who want to start a small business, you have a basic idea in your mind, right? You want to manage your customers, you want to manage the inventory that you have, and you also want to manage your business. You want to do all this to start with. So how do I manage my customers when they come to me, if they have to ask me a question? I want them all to go to one place, right? So I basically am ready to answer the questions that my customers have. And I'm also ready for order taking. So Kupu is running the Zilka Wine Store, so I should be ready to take orders from my customer so that the questions and the order taking is being taken care of. Next, I think about managing the data that I have in the form of an inventory, right? All the stocks that I have and I have not sold yet. Right? I want all these data to be in one place where I manage my customers and I manage my inventory all in one single application, right? At the same time, my business is growing. I'm getting popular. The wine that I'm selling reaches more customers. So I want to be able to update this inventory that I have periodically. Okay? And I want to keep track of my most favorite customers. Maybe I want to invite them over a wine tasting party. I want to surprise them with discounts, right? So I want to track my favorite customers. And I also want to track sales. By now, you can imagine, with the popularity of the wine, I have several stores outside Pleasanton too. So I have an increasing employee base. I want to find out what kind of wine is selling well in which part of the world, right? So I want to keep track of the sales too. So with this plan, I'm going to start building a very basic application using Zoho Creator. So I'm going to build my own app, and I'm going to take you all on this journey in the next 30 minutes. I'm first going to focus on managing my customers, so where I'm going to focus on how I'm going to handle all the questions that come from my customer. Before we dive into a demonstration mode where I will take you into the creator world, introduce you to all the tools, I'm going to quickly take 2 detours and show you the app that we actually built. Right before we started this demonstration, we wanted to make sure that the app that we built is really functional. So I'm going to show you the app that is already built. This is the creator.zoho.com page, and this is the app that we pre-built just to tell you that it's a very simple app, yet it's very functional and it's very dynamic. So I have the customer inquiry part to be taken care of. So I have built a very simple contact us form using Zoho Creator. Right? Later, I'm going to use this form on a social media campaign. I might just put it in my email and send it to my favorite customers, or I might just embed it on my website, my Zilka Wine Store website, where my customers can contact me. So I basically have the same kind of information that I procure from all of my customers. So I also have an order taking need. So I have a very simple order form that is also built. And I have my inventory in place. You can look at my inventory report. And also all the reports that relate to all the top selling wines. So it helps me keep track of my business needs, right? So the second detour is the Zilka Wine Store itself, right? So the Zilka Wine Store, I have embedded the contact us form and the order form in the store on my website. So this is how the form looks. So I'm going to divide the whole understanding of showing you 2 same forms on 2 platforms. So the one I show you on the creator platform is basically, I would say, is my kitchen. It's a place where I cook all my favorite dishes. It's either a form or my report. The place where I serve the dish to the customers is my website, where you can see that I have added the flavor of my website. I've given it some interesting topping to go with the style of my website, and I have designed my form. All right, so in the next 30 minutes, we're going to see how to build all these using Zoho Creator. So I'm going to come out of this pre-built application, and I'm going to build an application from scratch. So let's talk about managing the customers part first. All right. So I have the create application. I can either use the application gallery to use a pre-built template, tweak it a bit, and use it to my needs. I can also import all the files related to building my application that's either in the cloud or is on my computer, or I can build an application from scratch, which is what we're going to do now. Right, so I'm on this building an application from scratch, and I want to give my application a name, which is a very obvious name. I'm going to call it the Zilker Wine Store Management. Sounds good? So I'm going to click Create, and it takes me into my kitchen. So I've opened my cabinet up for you, where I'm going to create a form. So this is the area that is my playground, that I'm going to drag drop all the fields that I need to create a contact us form. And these are the kind of field types, basically my utensils and all the ingredients I need to build the form. Over here on the right side of the screen, you see two properties that are the form properties and the field properties. The field properties are basically the ingredients, all that for fields that you drag drop into this area to make the form. The form properties are basically the toppings that you need to just decorate your form to suit your website or social media campaign. All right, so I'm going to start building a contact us form that is going to look exactly like this. Okay? So I'm going to give the form a name, contact us, and it automatically gets saved. So I'm going to start bringing in all the dishes that I need to build a contact us form. So I have the name field, which I would require my customer or anybody who wants to contact me to give it to me. And I'm going to drag drop the email address, which is an essential component of a contact us form. And Zoho Creator takes care of the validation of the email address. So you don't have to manually validate the email address that anybody types. And I'm also going to drag drop the phone number field, for which I would choose the field type that's basically a number field, so that it automatically gets validated, so nobody types a letter into it. So I'm going to call it the phone number field. So as you can see, I drag drop a field and I go to the field properties to give it a name. So I don't want to keep the phone number mandatory. Let's keep it private. So I'm also going to drag drop a multi-line field for the customers to say a lot of things. So I want to rename this into comments. And let me drag drop another multi-line field for them to tell me that the products they are interested in. All right, so I'm going to click here, and you can see the submit and the reset forms that the customers or anybody contacting you will need to submit the form. So I have finished cooking the form. Do you want to know how the form is being served in the live mode? So I'm going to click on access this application. All this while I was in the edit mode. So I was basically cooking the dish up, so I didn't want to taste it there. Now that it is being served on the table, I want to see how my form looks like, which is exactly the same form that you saw that was hosted on the website. Now that my form is ready within a minute, what do I do with this? What happens to all the details that are entered into this form by the customer? Right? So before we step into that, I'm going to take you back into my kitchen. And I want to help you publish the form that you create. So I'm going to click on the settings and click publish. So I want to share with my world the contact us form that I created. And this is the preview of my form. And you can play around with the background color and other formats that you need to suit the flavor of your website. So this gives a preview, and right on top right, you have the publish. So you click on publish, and you say, yes, I want to proceed. And I'm going to zoom out a bit. It's still visible, right? So you have the publish URL and the embed link two links that you would need, one for your campaigns to put in your emails and the other to embed on your website. So you can use these two links to just go about and share your form with the world. Now that I have published my form, what do I do? What happens when someone enters an information into it? Am I going to be tied in front of my laptop waiting for someone to contact and say, hooray, I have a new customer? No. These days, business happens on the go. Connections happen on the go. So I need a notification that tells me that a new data, a new information, a new person is trying to contact you. So I'm going to go back to the same settings and I'm going to click notification. So it takes you to two types of notification that you can configure. You can either get notified via an email or you can get notified via an SMS, right? That is basically a text message, right? So you can play around with this field and decide what you use for what. So when a customer enters an information, there is a prospect that wants to do business with Zilka Wine Store, then you want to be notified immediately. So if you are in a coffee shop or in a movie theater hanging around, maybe you will want to contact that person immediately. So it's better to get notified. So you can use an email or a text message. And if you want to thank that person to contact you, you can once again use either of these to send an acknowledgement saying, hey, thank you for contacting, maybe I'll call you in 2 days. So you can play around with the email and the text fields. In the future sessions, there will be more coverage on what kind of integrations we have for both of these services. Right, so I am ready. I know how to publish my form. I know how to be notified and also to notify the prospects. So my contact us form is now ready, and I want to quickly move on to order taking. I'm ready for questions. Now I want to be ready for orders. Right when I'm thinking of how to take orders from my customer, I realize that all of the stock details is elsewhere on a static spreadsheet. Right? So before I start building my order form, I want my inventory to come jump into my application. So I'm going to click Create New, and it takes me to this place where I import my file, which is basically my inventory file. Right? So I'm going to browse, hunt for my inventory, and it's going to jump into my application. Right? So I have my inventory here, and I'm clicking Create. Wow. So all the fields and the data are in here. The best part is all the label names that you have, maybe, okay. So all the fields that you have as a label name on your spreadsheet, Zoho Creator identifies as the field type. So you can see that the vintage, the age of the wine has become a number field, the countries is a single line field, and the bottle size has become a number field. So Zoho Creator automatically defines the field type once you import your inventory. You just can play around. I don't want the customers to type the wine name with the typo. So maybe I want to prompt the name so that they also know the variety of wines I have to offer. So I also want them to be able to choose the bottle size. So I'm going to change that also into a drop down, and I'm going to click Finish. So I have my wine inventory inside my application in no time. So let us go take a quick peek. So this is the wine inventory form. Just in case you're wondering where this form came from, we didn't build one. So Zoho Creator automatically creates a form, and all the names that you had as the label names on your spreadsheet have now become the field types. Right? So I can access this application and use it for my future use just in case I have to update my inventory. Right? Before I get into the details of what happened to all the data that was there in my spreadsheet, I want to remind you that the order taking is still pending. The real reason for why I bought the inventory inside this application is to be able to take orders. So I'm going to go back to my kitchen, for which I have to edit the application. I create a new order form. So I'm going to quickly drag drop the name fields. I make it mandatory. I have my email address. And what else would I need in an order form? I would need the phone number of my customers. And now I want to relate the reason why I had the inventory into this application. So the next field that I want to offer is the wine type. So now I have the wine type all in my inventory, and I want my order form and my inventory to talk to each other and pull all this information into the order form. So I'm going to go into a little detail field called the lookup field. So my order form is going to basically look up the inventory and bring all the types of the wine into the order form, right? So I'm going to drag drop a lookup field. Here you can see all the applications I've already built. And right now I'm on the Zilker Wine Store Management. And right now I have two areas in my application: the contact us form that I created and the inventory that I have imported. So I'm going to click on my wine inventory because that's where my wine type is. So I'm going to quickly run through the field and choose the wine name and make sure it's a drop down because I don't want my customers to manually type the name of the wine. So I'm going to say I'm done, and I have a new field here. I don't want to confuse them by calling it a wine inventory, so I'm just going to rename it into a wine name. Right after the wine name, I would want a number field for them to tell me the quantity, the number of bottles that they want to buy. And maybe I would need a date and time field for the delivery date. And I would also want a multi-line field for the address. So I want them to choose their wine type, so I'm going to make it mandatory. The quantity, without which I can really not take an order, and the delivery date, and the address. Right? So can we take a quick peek into the pre-built order form? So I have the name, email, phone number, the wine type, the quantity, the delivery date, and the address. So it took us almost 2 minutes to replicate this order form from the actual Zoho Creator platform. Right, so my order form is now ready, and I want to work on delighting my customers. Right, so I want to work around this data that is lying idle. I want it to come alive. I want the inventory to become dynamic. So I want to play around with little rule and task. So imagine this application does all your work like a genie. I have to tell the genie what it has to do for me. So I'm going to just play around a little and introduce a new field called the coupon code. So the idea that I have is if a customer orders more than 10 bottles of wine, for example, I want to surprise them with a discount, right? So I'm going to quickly drag drop a single line field just after the quantity, and I'm going to call it the coupon code. Okay? So now I want the coupon code to appear only for those who have ordered more than 10 bottles of wine, right? I don't want everybody to go about getting a discount. So I'm going to insert a little rule and task for the coupon code to be displayed only under specific conditions. So I'm going to select the field, and you can see that there is a place to create a new field. So I'm going to create a new field. What can we call it? Show coupon code? Okay. And maybe if you want to remember, depends on the number of types of discounts that you offer, you can say show coupon code if the order is more than 10. Right? So I want this event to occur every time there is an addition or an update. So I'm going to choose add an update while adding a new entry to the form. And here is a place where I'm actually talking to the order form that I have created. Right? So I want the quantity, if it is greater than 10. Right? So I chose a field where I'm applying the rule to, or if the customer places an order for more than 10 bottles of wine, which is why I have chosen quantity, and it's greater than 10. And I'm going to add a field task to this, and I'm going to give it the same name, show coupon code. So I'm going to choose a task. So what is the task that I want to do? When my order form loads, the customer enters the name, the email address, the phone, they choose the wine type from the drop-down, and they're going to enter the quantity. Right when they enter the quantity, depending on the number they choose, I want the coupon code to be displayed. I want the field to be shown. So I'm going to say show fields, and the field that I want to show is the coupon code. So remember to click Save and associate the rule with that specific field and simply add the rule. Now I know I have done a lot of extensive work in the kitchen. I'm sweating. I want to know how the food tastes, right? So I know my lookup worked really well. I want to test it. I want to taste it. And I know I have a little surprise for my customers. But what if my rule and task didn't work? I have to taste it for myself first before I offer it to the outside world. So I'm going from the kitchen to self-test, to taste how the order form looks. So there's a magic that happened. We can't see the coupon code field yet. Right? So I'm going to quickly enter my own name, my email address, some random phone number. Okay. So the rule was to see if there is a coupon code if it is greater than 10. What do I do now? I say 11? Okay, don't you want to test first if it works for 9 or 10? All right, so I enter 9, and I choose the delivery date, which is tomorrow, and I give my address. So I say submit. Right, the data got added successfully, and the coupon code did not appear. Right, all these data that I entered into this form has disappeared, it has gone to one place. Right, we'll go back to that after we test how the coupon code works. So I give my name again. Some random phone number. So I say 11. Okay. Yes. So I had the coupon code display because the number is greater than 11, and I give them a coupon code in the advertisement on my website. They just have to enter it, go about placing the order. So you had taken care of the customer inquiry by building a contact us form. You have managed to bring all your data into this application by importing your inventory. You are able to take the orders from the customer because you now have an order form in place. You're able to delight your customers with just these little rules and tasks that you can bring in and make the application do all that work for you, right? So in a way, I can also track my favorite customers. My favorite customers are those who place large orders, right? So I have everything in place. I promised you to take back to the wine inventory because we're all curious to know what happened to all the data that we imported. So as you can see, for every form that is created, there is a default report that is also created. So all the data that I have in the spreadsheet is now here in the form of a report. So can you compare how a spreadsheet looks and how dynamic this page here in Zoho Creator looks? I can just play around. I can just use filters, right? If my inventory keeps growing, I start procuring more famous wine from around the world, and I have about 10,000 entries here, I just can filter and look at only the types of white wine that I have. So you can play around with filters, and I want the type of white wine. Okay, so I say cancel, I go back. So these are the places where you can edit each of these information, which in the Zoho Creator world we call a record. Each of this information is called a record. So you can edit your record, delete or duplicate it right from your report page. You can also work around the kinds of views that you have. This is basically a list. So if you really miss your spreadsheet, you can go into your spreadsheet mode. I'm going to zoom out a bit, right? So you can just play around. You can also import more data into this existing inventory. So in which way you don't have to have multiple spreadsheets with different names of different years. So it all happens in one place, right? So now I'm going back to the wine inventory. You know, I'm going to quickly go back to my presentation. So we've managed our customers. We've managed to bring our inventory. Now, the only item that is left is you have to update your inventory. So over a period of time, I have a lot of employees from different geographical locations. So when they start procuring wine for that center that is outside Pleasanton, the store, the wine store, then I would need somebody from each of these locations to manage to update the inventory for me. I don't have to get all the inventory in the form of spreadsheets, appended in an email, open all the spreadsheets, bring it all into one spreadsheet, and then import it. I just can share this inventory form. Maybe I don't trust my new employee yet with the entire inventory. So I want to share only that specific inventory form, maybe with a salesperson in a remote location. So let's go back to the application mode. And I'm going to enter into the kitchen. And here is where I can play around with the application settings. So this is the general settings. You can play around with later if you have a change of mind or creativity, God blesses you, you can come up with an interesting name for your application, right? So you can play around with this. I'm just going to focus on, I have built something dynamic. It's simple, yet not simplistic. Now I want to go and share it, right? So do you want me to zoom in a bit, right? So here, I have the wine inventory, right? And I have the email address of my employee in my organization. So I'm going to type the email address of the user here, and I'm going to invite them. Say, let me test it. So I'm playing my own employee here, and I'm sending an invitation to myself, and it also allows me to edit my invitation. So I'm going with the default, the template, and I'm going to share just that wine inventory form, and I'm going to say share now. Right? Now I want to check if I've got an email notification that the inventory form has been shared with me. Let me open a new window because I have logged in as an administrator in this application. So I'm going to go to my Gmail account quickly. I hope I remember my password. Okay. So here I have the invitation from the account that the Zilker Wine Store Management application in the below link. Okay, I click that. Okay, this is a surprise. So it's asking me for my account information. So right when you click on that form, the inventory form opens, and the person with whom you have shared can enter all the new data that has to go into an inventory. Right? So back there in my application, so I'm going to quickly close this window. I'm going to go back to the application that I'm building. I'm going to go to access this application. So this is the form that was shared with the user. As soon as they use the form to enter to update the inventory, I'm going to get it automatically added to my inventory report. So from wherever I am, I can manage my inventory, right? So we have focused on managing your customers and your inventory. Now comes managing your business, right? So you're happily going about running this business, you're very happy with the customers, you're offering them interesting discounts, and suddenly you realize that you run out of stock on your favorite wine or the wine that the customers order in that particular season. You just enter your cellar and you see that that type of wine is gone empty. Would you not want to be notified automatically that you're running out of stock as you get more orders in place? Would you also not be curious to know which kind of wine is selling well and in which part of the world? Right? You want a report to be automatically generated that also gives you the freedom to analyze the data. Okay, now I don't want to hire a person in a finance department just to take care of the invoice. I want to automate the invoice. So I'm leaving you with questions that will be answered in the advanced sessions as you discover more in the day to make this application more robust and more dynamic, right? That is in the refine part. We all had a dream to build an app. I had a dream to build an app. Then I made it into a requirement for my business application. We got started and we built something in the past 30 minutes. And now we will look at refining the entire application. So most of us don't get started, or we get started and we don't really reach the goal of building the application because we are already imagining the entire complexity in front of us. Learning a new programming language, sign up for an online class, and then you have a boring teacher, and then you can't take your son or daughter to that favorite match. There's so much in your kitty than wanting to challenge this entire complexity. But remember, there is a secret that we talked about in the beginning of the session, right? The secret to get ahead is to get started. And how we get started? One step at a time, and it's definitely doable. If I can, being a non-programmer, I know you all can. Thank you.